there, this is Mary Houle gardening from Richmond, Vermont, solid zone 4, and let's get started. I'm going to give you some information about tools and labeling. I'm going to talk about some things that you go, well, that's not really a tool, but indeed they're tools. A tool is just something that helps you accomplish a task, and one of the first tools that you want to take a look at is a calendar. Now, Mary, why is a calendar a tool? Well, when you start your spring seeds, you have to do it somewhat in reverse. You go to where all danger of frost has passed, and in our zone 4, that's usually Memorial Day. However, I like to get a little earlier start, and my peas are usually in the ground by the 15th of April. So the 15th of April for peas and things that are not likely to succumb to frost. Peas would be good. Lettuce actually is quite good. Cabbage, broccoli. The only danger of putting broccoli and cabbage in that early is the bunny rabbits are hungrier than you are. So you want to take a little care in putting a container. If you had a container like this that was open, a water bottle, or one of those Powerade containers, cut the bottom off, take the knob, unscrew the top, and put that over your seedling, and that will protect that one seedling from the bunny rabbits getting at it. Again, you want that harvest, but they want it more. So if you just mash that into the ground a little bit around your seedling, you've protected it. And again, having the cap off the container allows that greenhouse, it'll keep the moisture in there, but it won't roast your broccoli early. So that's when I would start those kinds of things, about the 15th of April, but May 31st is when all signs of frost are gone, and that's when you would put your peppers, your tomatoes, your eggplant, and other things that are sensitive to frost. And by then, if you're doing transplants of zucchini, that's a good time to transplant those in as well. So that's how you want to use your calendar as a tool. There are calendars that you can write lots and lots of stuff on in the margins. This is one that I kind of chopped up specifically for today just to show as an example. Use your calendar as a tool. When am I going to plant this? Well, you look ahead. You also look at the back of the seed package to give you some indication as to when you want to plant. And quite often you will see on the back of the seed information, the package, plant X amount of weeks before putting in the garden. So that gives you a good idea. It also tells you the sensitivity, meaning if that plant needs sunlight to germinate, it will also tell you that. If that seed needs to germinate with heat, it will also tell you that, meaning using a heat mat or close to something quite warm. If your seed needs either light or dark, you'll get that information from the seed pack. Now, here's another example of a tool, but this is a plastic container. Well, this is a tool for a couple of reasons. This will hold seeds in the garden. If you're planting directly from your package in the garden, you'll want to have something at least, you can pour the seeds in here and then pour them out in your hand. I try not to pour them directly in my hand because they tend to go everywhere. So indeed, they are a tool to be used. This is another container that I would use for seeds as well. This happens to have one of those desiccant packs. So if you put seeds in here, this keeps the moisture away from your seeds so it doesn't germinate ahead of time. A serrated knife is extremely handy in the garden. Also nice for slicing tomatoes. But I use these in the garden for snipping off things that are growing out of where they should be, like the suckers on tomatoes, for example. Or if I notice a couple of weeds that are close to the soil, and I have a lot of control with this one blade. You can get your finger down pretty close and then just guide it along. So a knife is not only good in the kitchen, but it's a good tool for the garden. One of the other important aspects of gardening is to protect yourself. Now, these are my well-used gloves, but gloves are a very important tool in the garden. You can protect yourself from a lot of cuts when you work with things such as this, and I use this in the garden a lot for holding seeds, but the corners are very, very sharp. So if you're using your gloves, you're less likely. You still may cut yourself, but you're less likely to. The other thing that I do in the garden that's helpful to me, it's like, why did you do that? Well, after years and years of fumbling around, you pick up the gloves and they're stuck together and you have to look. Well, I always put an X or a band around the one that goes on my left hand. And that's usually with all my winter gloves and so on. So I always know which one is the left glove. And if I lose one, I go, well, I've lost the right glove. So I have to match it with one of these. So these are the dollar store gloves, but they're very handy. These actually I think were dollar store gloves too, but oh my dear, I love these so much. For using your tools in the garden, you don't get slivers off the tools as fast. You still might get slivers, but using those is quite helpful. String. Well, how is string a tool in the garden? Tying up your tomato plants, tying up your pepper plants, tying up eggplants. The higher you elevate your plants off the ground, the less likely they're going to be attacked by slugs or other things. And I find that the string in the garden is a foil for a lot of, like, I put string crossways in the walks as well, and that kind of kept the deer at, they go, what's she doing now? So they didn't understand it either. But when you do something that's a little unusual, the wildlife tend to go, oh, we're not going that way. These are a set of adapters for your garden hose. Why is that a tool? Well, the garden hose is a tool, but these are quick adapters. So I can use this quick adapter. There's specific tools that have this lock feature where you push back and load it like you would a drill. It's got a locking device. You push back, put the hose on, and then it locks in place. So you can put your quick flow adapters onto your regular hose. You can switch gardening heads, and it makes it quite easy. Now, why is this considered a tool? Well, this flagging tape is a tool in that if I'm working in the garden and I happen to set my scissors down, that is not a color that you see in nature. Or you might put this on something else. And again, this is not in the springtime, this is not a color you would see in early spring. So you would find that relatively soon. Another tool that you would use in the garden, it's like I want people to know when I'm in the garden. So I usually have my vest on. I even get it on right side out. So although this may not seem like a tool, it's got a lot of pockets. I can put my scissors in here. I can put my knife in here. I can put my sheetrock knife in here. I can certainly carry my gloves in here, and sometimes there's some surprises. So the other tools that you can use, we're all familiar with the clippers, the snippers, but I always have some sort of a tag on the corner of them so that if I put them down, I get to find them again. So in addition to gloves, leather, or rubber. If I'm using a shovel, I'll be using a set of leather gloves just because I think they're a little more substantial. If you're using something where there's a lot of chaff, if you're putting down hay, or not hay, putting down straw over strawberries, you might want to consider a set of glasses so that you don't get the chaff in your eyes. Markers. Now, I don't have a marker in front of me, but markers are very important because as often as you go, oh, I'm going to remember what's there, you're not going to remember. If you put the package down, the package will disintegrate. So you go, now, are those radishes or are they cabbages? So you want to, even a tape like this, you can put a magic marker, and you always want to use the magic marker in the house because once the magic marker gets water on it, you've lost it. It's not going to work. And containers. Containers of all sorts. You may not think of them as a tool, but this on its own just is a container for holding things. And although it's disposable, it may last you the season, but all the things that you can take out of the waste cycle, I think, are a benefit to all of us. So that's it for tools for today. Thank you, and happy gardening.